Tina with Walla Stamping. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to you in advance because last Friday I started coming down with a head cold and I can barely breathe, smell, or hear because my head is so stopped up. So I may sound raspy or squeaky or have to clear my throat as I'm talking today, and I apologize to you for that in advance. I hope that it's not irritating to you. But this is the project that I want to share. I bought a container of Burt's Bees cuticle cream. I just bought it for myself, and I decided that I wanted to mimic the packaging that it was in and share this as a project with you today. So I used a piece of Delightful Dijon because I felt like it coordinated really well with the background color in this packaging. And then I felt like also the Real Red went really nicely with the writing in the packaging as well. So this is my last piece of Delightful Dijon except for the piece that is in the kit, and you can enter to win this kit by going to my blog, leaving a comment underneath the post for this project, and your name will go in to win the kit. And to all of you ladies who won kits last week, when I started feeling ill, I did not make it to the post office, but I will today and get those out to you. So I used my layering circles framelits dies, and I used the scallop and a plain circle to cut out my frame and my medallion, and then I used my scallop to round the top of the box as well. The ribbon is actually from the Sending Love combo pack that came out back around Valentine's Day, so I use that to coordinate with the packaging too. So let's set this to the side. Now, of course, I am going to have to do today's in a different color because I don't have any more of the Delightful Dijon. So I've chosen to use the Pear Pizzazz. Now these are actually lemons. I know you would think that they were limes, but some lemons are actually green instead of yellow. I did not know that until, I don't know, a few months ago. I don't even remember now how I found out, but somehow I did. So our Pear Pizzazz here is cut to 11 inches by 4. So with that size, you can actually get 2 of these boxes from one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. For my frame and the little medallion, I'm going to use a couple of pieces of chocolate chip. This is cut to 2.5 by 2.5, and then I have a piece of Very Vanilla, and it's also 2.5 by 2.5. Alright, I have my Simply Scored scoring tool here now, and I have my paper in along the 4-inch side is across the top, and then I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, and then at 1 inch. Flip my paper around to the opposite side, score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch again on this side. Then I'm going to turn my paper to the 11-inch side across the top, score at 3 inches, then 3.5, then at 5.5 and 6. Now I'm not sure how well you can see it. Hopefully you can see the score lines, but if you can, you'll notice that there's a large rectangle right here with 2 long skinny rectangles on either side, and it's the same down here. These portions on both ends are going to get cut away completely, so I'm just going to cut right up this score line here and go all the way up until I reach that very first score line that is horizontal and stop there. Then turn my cardstock and trim along this first score line and cut that away. I'm going to flip this over on the back because I'm right-handed. It's easier for me to cut, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Cut straight up the score line. Stop when I reach that first one that's horizontal, and then cut this piece away. So you'll also repeat that on this other end. When you're finished with that portion, this is what your box is going to look like at this point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut straight up each of these 2 little score lines here. Then I'm going to fold this back out of my way, and there is a little score line right here. We're going to just snip that little end piece off on that side too. And then, as always, when we're making a box, we always want to wedge out these little tabs so that they'll fold in to the inside of the box more easily. Do the same thing on this side. So now this is what you have. I'm going to grab my bone folder and go ahead and reinforce all of my score lines. Get those folded and burnished really well. Then I'm going to grab my Project Life corner punch. I'm going to fold this in out of the way so that I can round both of these corners. Oh, let me just do it this way. Then I'll fold this side in and round these corners. If you don't have a corner punch like I do, that's okay. What you would want to do is, instead of rounding them, just take your scissors and cut them at an angle like you did these little tabs right here. It'll work just as well. Now what we're going to do next is a little bit of Big Shot work. So before I grab my Big Shot, I'm going to go ahead and get my very vanilla paper, and the stamp set that I'm going to be using today is the Birthday Blooms. I really like this because I love this scrolling kind of script here, or the font, I guess I should say. So I'm going to be using this one that says For You, and I have it mounted on a clear block C, and the ink that I'm going to be using to stamp this with is chocolate chip. To do my cutting, I'm going to be using my Layering Circles framelits. I'm going to use the third from the smallest plain circle and the fourth from the smallest scallop circle to do my cutting out. So first of all, I'm going to use my plain circle, and I'm going to get that centered up within all of these score lines and get my window cut out so that my product that is inside my cuticle cream can peek out, so whoever you might be giving this to will see what their goodie is going to be. Now if you want to keep it a secret, just don't punch this hole out. You can certainly do that and just decorate the front of your box in another way. So we've got that window cut out. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut out my sentiment. I'm going to place that on there and use that same circle again. And while I'm doing this, I'm actually going to go ahead and put a piece of my chocolate chip on there and put my scallop circle and run both of those through at the same time. Now what I'm going to do is put my second piece of chocolate chip on there and run that scallop through again and get this circle cut out. Then I'll remove that scallop, and I'm going to take my plain circle and lay that down right on top, making sure that I am looking all the way around and that it looks like it is centered within this scallop circle that I just cut out, and run that through. So now I have my frame and my medallion cut out. What we're going to do next is go ahead and cut out the top portion of our box. I'm going to move my Big Shot for just a minute because we need to glue our box together. I think while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and put my frame on too. I'm going to be using liquid multi-purpose glue to do this, and I'm just going to come in around here and just put a very thin line of my glue. Then I'll lay my frame down, get it lined up. I think that the chocolate chip and the pear pizzazz looks really good together. I like it a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to actually take this shorter, you'll see that there's the longer rectangle, the shorter rectangle. I'm going to fold this rectangle back over on the top of the box and give it a press that way. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to adhere this together. You can also use fast fuse for this if you would prefer, but I've got my liquid glue out, so I'm just going to use it today instead of the fast fuse. Then what I'm going to do is come around here and line both of these up. Okay, then I'm going to press that down, and I can tell that when I did my cutting that one side ended up being slightly wider than the other side. So I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to trim this up a little bit so that they're going to be even. Okay, this one's off just a little bit right up here at the top. Okay, so now I've got those cut evenly. I'm going to grab my Big Shot again, and what you'll do is lay your box on top of your cutting plate. Use that same scallop circle that you used before, and we're going to lay that down right here so that the top is, or the top of your scallop, the outside of your framelit is even with the top portion of your box, and then try to get it centered up from left to right as well. I'm going to take my second plate and I'm going to lay that across my box so that the edge of my cutting plate is just about across the center of my framelit. I'm going to hold that in place and start running that through my Big Shot. Now, if you've never seen this done before, it's called partial die cutting, and everything that's on this side of this cutting plate will not cut. So it's perfectly safe to run that all the way through. So I ran that through. I still have a little piece over here hanging on. I'm just going to take my scissors and just snip that away. So now once you've run that through your Big Shot, you'll have this little scalloped edge up here. Now what I'm going to do next is go ahead and build my medallion, and I'm going to use some of my rhinestones. And if you didn't catch the blog post about this or didn't see my video on Friday, I'm giving away a package of rhinestones to my customers this month. The information on how to receive these from me will be posted in the blog at the bottom of this project, so you will be able to see how you can get a package of the rhinestones from me as a thank you gift with a purchase. So I put a medium-sized rhinestone right here at the end of this little curl around on the R, and a smaller one on this little curl around of the F in the word for. Then I'm going to use my dimensionals to adhere the Whisper White to the chocolate chip, just putting a couple of those on the back. Then make sure that that is in the center. Gonna grab my silver ribbon, and I'm going to tie my bow. To adhere the bow to my medallion, I'm just going to use a glue dot right here and put that up at the top. Stick my bow down in there, give it a good little push, and then trim off the extra ribbon. Okay. Then to put this on my box, I'm just going to go back and use my multi-purpose liquid glue again. Then when I line this up on there, I want some of that pear pizzazz to show. So I'm going to slide it down just a little bit and adhere that down. And now all that's left is to put my gift inside. So I'm going to take the little canister out of here. then what I like to do is close up one side of my box and then slide my Burt's Bees in. Make sure it's straight in there. There we go. And then close up the other side of my box. So since I only have one container of the cuticle cream, one box is going to be empty. But either way, I think that these are really cute. I like both color combinations myself. I think that both of them turned out nice. So this is a project that doesn't require a lot of product from Stampin' Up! To make. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial today, and Burt's Bees I feel like is very readily available at pretty much anywhere. I can find it at Walmart, at Walgreens, Cracker Barrel carries it, and I know that those are places that probably most everybody has somewhat near to them. So anyways, remember to go over to my blog, leave a comment to win the kit. While you're there, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. I will be sending one out tomorrow, and there will be an additional free tutorial in there, and you'll get a free tutorial just for signing up for my newsletter. So I hope that you have a great day and that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will talk to you soon.